Former North Carolina Governor Pat McCrory is probably best known at this point for signing one of the most controversial bits of legislation last year. That's HB 2 that made it more difficult to fight at the local level against anti-gay and anti-trans legislation. Now, as a result of that, he's apparently feeling a little bit of financial pushback now that he's left government and gone off into the private sector. He's going to talk about it in this clip.
The LGBT, though, narrative is going to be, if you're a politician and you stand up against the LGBT movement, you're going to be punished as Pat McCrory was punished. Whether that's true or not, that is going to be a part of their narrative.
Oh, it is a part of their narrative. And they are using this 10,000 vote win as a warning to any politician to speak against policies which are contrary to their agenda. And they had one policy that was contrary to my agenda, and that is changing the definition of gender. And that's really what they're trying to do, is instead of having doctors determine the definition of gender, they actually want politicians to determine the definition of gender. If you talk to CEOs off the record, they go, heck, I agree with you, Pat, but I couldn't say anything because they're more worried about the bottom line of finance. And heck, it's even impacted me to this day, even after I left office. People are reluctant to hire me because, oh my gosh, he's a bigot, which is the last thing I am. I'm actually, in some ways, rather liberal on some of these issues. I'm a libertarian on many of these issues. But I don't think a city government, a state government, or a federal government should be able to tell the private sector what the new definition of gender is. On the issue of gender, I think it's a well-established definition. It's the doctor who determines the gender of a baby. You ask the doctor, is it a boy or a girl? You don't ask the baby. And the same thing, should we have fifth graders decide what gender they are? I just think it's common sense. I'm a pragmatic conservative. Now I'm called an extremist and a radical. And this was part of their agenda. When I got elected, the far left all met and they said they're going to do three things. They're going to eviscerate Pat McCrory. This is within the first 2 weeks. We're going to try to get as much free publicity as possible through protest. Whatever Pat McCrory does, we're going to protest him. And third, whatever he does, we're going to call it extremist.
I love that he's saying, they're calling me an extremist, those far left guys.
Who all meet together in a conspiracy against me.
Yeah, where was this meeting, by the way? I mean, they all fit in one room?
And I didn't get a call? I'm kind of pissed. I didn't know we were taking Pat down.
What I love about it is, look, there's the interesting debate about the bill, obviously, and whether he's a liberal or a libertarian or whatever. But that he says now, I'm having trouble getting jobs because I'm a bigot. So you can believe one of two things. Either he's being told we won't hire you because you're a bigot, which I find a little bit hard to believe, or he's just having a hard time finding a job, and that is the explanation he's concocted for himself. It must be because they think I'm a bigot.
Right. Oh, by the way, even in his explanation, this doesn't sound that great. Like a lot of CEOs telling me that they don't like the LGBT community either. They can't say it in public. They're just bigoted in private. I don't know that you made it any better there.
Yeah. Okay. Wouldn't they hire you?
Yeah, and by the way, they're also cowards, so they wouldn't hire me.
Okay. And what is the LGBT narrative, by the way? Has that ever been defined? Is it just like the more fabulous narrative?
Mm-hmm. I don't know that it's ever been written down.
They're hung up on this weird, they want like equal rights or something, weirdos.
Yeah, I think equality is the essence of it, and of course, that makes them extremists.
No, but here's an amazing irony, right? So conservatives have engendered pushback where they do advocate for these anti-LGBT legislation, pieces of legislation because, or initiatives, because the business community is now against them in large part. So he's saying that the incentive economically is against these initiatives. So conservatives who are all about letting the market determine what happens are now taking the brunt of that and being penalized for it, that's just an amazing irony that this turned out to be a bad business decision for him, yet he went against the market in this instance because he had this ideological commitment to whatever, counteracting the LGBT narrative, quote unquote.
Okay, so that's the two main things I want to talk about here. First of all, if you were a real libertarian, as you said in that interview, or pragmatic conservative, well, what's the number one go-to thing of libertarians and conservatives? Free market, right? Well, the free market has spoken, and they've spoken against you. Okay, now you must be removed from the island. So you can't complain about the free market if you're a champion of the free market. Apparently, you're not valued that much. And you say, look, either John's right, they're actually giving you an excuse and they think, this guy's an idiot, I'm not gonna hire this idiot. In which case the free market has spoken against you. Or the free market has decided they don't wanna hire guys like you because they think you're a bigot. Well, that's the free market's decision. You should celebrate it. And then the other part of this that I find greatly amusing is here's a former politician who's like, well, what the hell? I can't get a job. That was the whole point of being a politician, right? I did all these things, and then I come out and I'm expecting my donors to deliver for me, and then all of a sudden I can't get a job. What's going on here? Well, oh, sorry, Mr. Corrupt Politician, that your payoffs and revolving door didn't work out for you.
It just proves that the market actually is not king for conservatives in certain instances. So when they have ideological commitments that contravene the market, then they're okay to buck the market, and then they don't place a premium on it. So that just shows that their ostensible commitment to market principles or laissez-faire, that's really only just contingent on circumstance, and it kind of undermines the argument that they've been pushing for decades. So I love the irony.
But he claimed there's these extremist leftists, they're hounding him, calling him a bigot. We actually have some video proof of that. The meeting did happen and he apparently stumbled right into it.
Shame on you! Shame on you! You anti-gay bigot! You're a bigot! You're a bigot and an asshole! Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you! How can you be like that? Shame! 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 We got you now! Shame! Shame!
That video is so precious, man. First of all, God bless the guy who hounded him. I mean, that's as an American, you got a right to do that, right? He did sound a little like Austin Powers. Shame on you.
I did not pick that up. I think you're the only person that picked that up.
Every part of that video is Austin Powers, and then Pat McCrory gets stuck, and he's like, where do I go? Awkward smile.
Won't open.
Austin Powers versus Dr. Evil.
That smile reminded me of the smile that, remember Tom DeLay when he was arrested and he had that mugshot where he had that huge grin? It's like this smile that you have to have in like the worst circumstance.
The awkward smile, that's right. And I can't help but make two more comments about his earlier statements on the radio. When you have to say the last thing I am is a bigot, don't say it, okay? Because apparently that's the first thing people think you are. Yeah. That's like when O'Donnell running for Senate in Delaware, Christine O'Donnell was like, starting an ad with, I am not a witch.
And I'm like, I don't know anything about you, but you're definitely a witch. And Trump having to say, there's no one less racist than me.
No one, believe me.
No one less anti-Semitic than me.
But the best moment might have been like, you don't ask the baby. You're right, we wouldn't ask the baby. We'd wait for them to grow up and be an adult and then make their own adult choice about who they are. But to a conservative, that seems like a clever argument. Are you gonna ask the doctor or the baby? Podcast The Young Turks anytime you want. tytnetwork.com/join.
I think it's weird.
No, it's not weird. In fact, you'll think,
I'm like a smart person.
do it now. tytnetwork.com/join.